Hi there.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. I'm going to hold up. I see Sally McElhern. Oh, Conrad's there. I'm going to let him in.
Okay, perfect.
And I'm going to change my name to moderator. I tell you, Jenny, I don't know if I told you. Hey, Conrad.
Hey, Carol, how are you?
Good. How are you? Conrad, have you met Jenny?
No, there we are. Hi,
Yep.
Jenny.
Hi, Conrad. How are you?
Good.
So we're really lucky to have Jenny on our team because she keeps us on task and in line. Conrad, I can see that Sally is waiting. I'm going to wait just a second. How many people do you expect? Do you have any idea?
I don't. The more confrontational one just dropped out. So so 30 Minor Street pulled her application as
Why?
like, well, she wasn't notified very quickly. The mailing went to the building itself, and no one checks the building. So she only found out on a Friday.
Oh,
And then when
dear.
Jeff, well, it slipped Jeff's my mind about emailing her, but this happens.
Who is she?
Devin
Sutton.
something.
Okay.
Sutton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she wasn't notified very quickly, and then Jeff called her today, basically saying you need to pay for the advertisements because that's our standard policy. That's what the village law says. Is that you've paid for the advertisements for when you go to ZBA, and that wasn't made clear to her, so she gave Jeff an earful. And so, Jeff called me, and I said, well, she can always pull her application. I mean, we don't need to hear it if she's not ready for it. So she pulled her application.
So that, well, I don't need to know this. One of the things about, sorry, I'm adjusting my pillows.
Yeah.
One of the things that's a little awkward for me as a village board member, not only a little, only a tiny bit, is that we try to stay out of these discussions until they get to us. Let the village planning board handle it. Let
Right.
the ZBA handle it.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to hear that, but so presumably she'll come back?
If she does. I mean, she was also talking to Jeff just the other week about possibly pulling her application because she's talking about maybe St. Mary's might open up. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
okay.
If she comes
I
back,
see.
I told her there's a 2-week delay between when she puts the app in and when we can do a meeting. And, this is her choice.
Yeah.
So.
I see Sally. I see Mike is there. 6N61SG. Any idea?
Nope.
Okay. I will admit them, and I'm going to turn myself. Well, it doesn't really matter. But what I usually try to do is determine who that is and change their name. And if they won't tell me, unfortunately for me, I've been in on a couple of pretty nasty bombers.
Ooh.
And so my goal is to keep an eye on who's there, be sure we know who they are. So whoever 6N61SG is, we're just going to say, can you tell us who you are? And if they won't tell us who they are, it's an open meeting. I'll just keep my eye on them.
All right. So the way the public hearing will roll, though, is that at any point, I want to be able to shut someone off. In a public hearing, I have that right to basically to shut them down. So I don't know if I have capability for that, or if I need to say, Carol, quiet, let's go ahead and mute him, or what.
Let me see something, Conrad. Let me see.
If you make me co-host, can I do that?
I'm going to make you co-host. Yep.
All right, awesome. Jenny, do you have recording capabilities and everything you need?
It's already set up for recording.
We
Carol took
actually
care of
are
that.
recording already.
Sweet.
Yep.
We are recording. This is recording to the cloud. So
Oh,
I'm going to
bonus.
let Joanne and Sally, they're both your board members.
Yep. Sally, Mike, Andy, and Caitlin. Caitlin did show up. There's Mike.
There's Caitlin.
So Sally. Oh, I need 2 screens. This is crazy.
There's Troy. There's, yep.
Conrad. Sally,
Hi, Sally, how are you?
I'm good. I can't see you yet.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Adam. Thank you for identifying yourself. We were curious.
No problem. Thank you for inviting.
And then
Uh,
you want to mute, you hit that. It just says mute.
All right, so if you guys
Jamer,
want to,
is that you, Jeff?
yeah. Jamer 9708 is Jeff.
Got him. I'm gonna just change him.
Okay.
Caitlin, what's your last name?
Hollinger.
Thank you.
Yep.
And did you say that? Okay, got it.
All right, we'll give it another minute or so.
We'll wait to see if
our last member
our
shows up.
last member shows up.
I'm getting feedback through the Zoom, so if you want to go ahead and mute yourself if not speaking, that'd be great. Our moderator will be handling the waiting room in terms of people coming in, coming out. We'll wait to see who comes at this point. There's Andy coming in now.
There.
Hello.
Hello, hello, everybody. This is Sally.
Hello.
Okay.
All right, so if you're not speaking at this point, go ahead and mute yourself or I'll mute you for you. We'll go ahead and get started in a minute. We're gonna do a couple business details first before we get started, and then we'll go ahead and move into the application for 55 Judson. Okay. All right, I have 7 o'clock, so let's go ahead and get rolling. Basically today we are going to hold a meeting for we're going to hold two public hearings. The first public hearing was going to be for an interpretation for 30 Minor Street. That public hearing has been pulled. The applicant decided to pull the request for that use at this point. She may come back later in the time, but at this point we are not going to discuss that or hold a public hearing for the use of 30 Minor Street as an educational school. Okay, so that one is going to be, we're going to move on from that at this point, and we're going to go ahead and get started on other things. For those of you who don't know everyone, all our faces are up here. The board members, we have myself, I'm Conrad, I'm the chair, Mike Snow, Caitlin, Jeff Murray is our CEO, Code Enforcement Officer, Sally is on the board, and Andy is on the board, and Mike's, that's everyone. And then Jenny in the top left is our recording secretary. If at any point you have questions or whatnot, go ahead and ask. The general flow for today, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and hear about the application for the use of 55 Judson Street for the area variance, basically building a garage. So Jeff will go ahead and talk to us first about how this, what the application is and why he turned it down. And then we'll hear from the applicant, Troy and Suzanne Carrere, about what they want to build. And then we'll open it up for public comment, okay? And we'll go from there, okay? Are there any general questions before we get started? All right, so let's go ahead and take it away. Jeff Murray, this is on you in terms of what was the application and why did you turn it down, and a little bit about what's going on here, okay?
Okay.
Troy put in an application to build a garage in his backyard. There was an existing smaller garage, but it encroaches on the setbacks of 10 feet from the side property line, and he wants to move it there to keep as much of his backyard as he can. So that's why I turned it down, because of the setback on the side towards the house property. So there was
All right, that's basically a summary of what's going on. Basically, it was a setback, side setback on the, Jeff, which side of the property is that? Is that like the east side?
As you're looking at the property from Judson Street, it'd be the left-hand side. Greg Howe's apartments have a road that go up through there, and it's encroaching on that. And Greg Howe, I'll just put this out here now, called me because he doesn't do Zoom meetings, he says, and he's perfectly fine with this, and he has no issues with it whatsoever.
Okay, and the application itself, basically, you denied it because it didn't have a 10-foot setback, and the application is asking for a 3-foot setback on that garage, correct? Sweet.
Correct.
All right, Jeff, I'm gonna go ahead and mute you, and then Troy or Suzanne, you guys want to chime in and tell us basically a little more about like why you want the area variance and
Okay, so Jeff basically just gave the description. We had a small shed with a garage door on it, so it wouldn't house a vehicle. We would like to build a 2-car garage, one for each of our vehicles, with a kind of 2nd-story rumpus room storage. The lot is long, but a little bit narrow, and I had talked to Greg Howe about how close he would be comfortable with us putting the garage next to his parking lot, and I had put some stakes in the ground, and he said that he didn't have any problem. Upon Jeff's recommendation, we requested 3 feet, even though I think it's more like 5 or 6 feet. We didn't have the property line surveyed. There's some stakes there, and I think we're going to be well inside the 3 feet request, but that was Jeff's recommendation to make sure, just in case there was any wiggle room, that we didn't end up asking for 5 or 6 feet and then needing a 4 feet. I don't know. Jeff had also mentioned that I'm hoping everybody got the sketches that I sent, the PDFs that basically lay the footprint. I think it's 24 by 32. Max height, I think, was going to be approximately 25 feet, and the percentage of square footage on the property was right around 11%. So those were criteria that he thought I should address.
right. So let me touch the base of that, because I think I didn't quite forward those along, Troy, in time. Okay. So basically, it looks like the ridge pole is running parallel to Judson. Is that right? Okay. So ridge pole is running parallel to Judson Street, and so from the front parcel, from the front of the property, you'll be basically seeing a roof line and a 14-foot face, correct? Probably 2 cars garage there. Is that what you're thinking of?
24-foot face there. Yeah.
24 foot or 14 foot on the face facing Judson.
The face is 14.
What do you mean?
Face is 14. Okay, so the one facing
Right.
Yeah.
Not the
So
width.
basically,
Not the width. Yeah.
Yeah. So from the road, what do I see?
I got the tech teacher here interpreting for me. Thanks.
Good. All right. So I'm standing on Judson. I'm looking at the house. I see your house. Back behind is where the garage is going to go. I see a 14-foot elevation and then a roof line going up to 25 feet. You have solar on your current house. Are you facing that south for the same reason, or?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. All right. And so then the side facing the driveway, where you're asking for the side facing house driveway.
Yes.
Where you're asking for the variance, it's basically, that's where your taller section of the house is going to be, of the garage is going to be, right? So that's the 25-foot to the ridge line, and that wall facing house driveway, is that going to be any window? I assume it's going to be windowed like a normal, like it's going to be designed to look appropriate, right?
Yeah. Right.
All right. Yeah. All right. Sweet. All right. So, and you were talking about your setbacks. You think it might be around 5 feet, but it's definitely going to be greater than the 3 feet that you're asking for. But the 3-foot request was to make sure that that wasn't an issue, correct?
Yep. And it'll be inside the 10 feet. So
Yeah, it's like somewhere between 3 and 10 is what
Yep.
you're kind of shooting for, right? And that's where your stakes are right now.
exactly.
And the property itself along that lot line, can you describe that property for those in case someone hasn't walked it? Like, what's going to be between that garage and that the access to Howe Apartments there? What's there right now?
So Greg's the driveway for Greg's Apartments is a driveway / parking lot. So what abuts our side yard is parking lot spots for his tenants and visitor parking.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they nose in, or are they parallel in there?
No, they nose in.
Okay. And now what about snow? Does snow dump onto your parcel from that?
They typically plow a great deal of the lot into their lot area, but
Okay.
some of it comes towards our property, and there's never been an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I thought it was one of my questions was basically, I mean, if obviously he was plowing a parking lot into that buffer, I don't want a load of snow going through a window in your new garage, right?
Right.
I mean, that's kind of like what setbacks help us do, is manage that sort of thing, right? Okay. All right, cool. All right, so I think we'd understand what you're looking for, like basically where we're going from there. Jeff has laid out his stuff. Let's go ahead and open it up to any other questions from anyone else in terms of on the board or from any of our adoring fans here who are listening now. So just go ahead, and if you want to chime in, I guess you can raise your hand at the bottom of your Zoom, and the moderator will check you in, and you can raise your point as needed.
So if people don't know, down at the bottom right of your screen, there's a thing that says reactions. So you can either give a little thumbs up, if you can see on moderator, that'll let us know. Or if you're showing us your video, you can, I'm trying to make it go away now. You can raise your hand, literally raise your hand, so that we know you'd like to speak.
All righty, let's go ahead and let's go here.
Conrad, hang on one
got
second.
it.
We just had one more person is just joining now, in case you want to.
All right, so when you speak, just go ahead and introduce yourself, basically, so I know who you are. If I haven't, if you don't have your name typed in, that way I know what's going on a little more. So let's go for customer 88616. Trying to unmute you.
Okay, I'm trying to unmute. Well, maybe you go ahead, Conrad.
All right.
Good to go.
Unmuted?
No, you're good now.
Okay. Just Kent Pratt, I live across the street. Just wanted to see how this process worked. So just watching the process here.
Okay, great. Any other questions or any like input? You're pretty comfortable with this? Or
No, I'm more than happy with what they're doing, and
Okay. Great.
good for them.
All right. Thanks, Ken. All right, let's go over to owner over here.
Oh, yeah, it's me. Mike Crow calling it. I was actually in on 30 Minor Street, but when I saw this coming up, I just want to say it sounds like an appropriate exception or variance to give, because they planned it well and it's up against the parking lot, and it's not going to bother anybody immediately adjacent to them. And they planned it well, and they're going to use solar, so it sounds like a great deal.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Mike. Okay. Charlie, did you want to say anything?
No, looks fine to me.
All righty. Okay. Anyone else want to chime in on this public hearing in terms of what we're talking about? Okay. All right. Board members, do we have any questions for the Carreras in terms of what we're looking at?
Conrad, it's Andy.
Yep.
I'm looking at a Google map of the property and was just interested in roughly how far back relative to the house the structure will be.
Yeah, what we've got measured out right now is 10 feet off the back porch. So enough room to potentially push snow off the driveway into our own yard if we were plowing or, you know, run a small garden track, you know, run a tractor or something through there so that there's access. So detached, not planning any breezeway or anything like that for the time being. Yep.
Great, thanks.
Yep.
How much does your does the corner of that garage overlap with the corner of the house? As you know, when you're looking for the front, like how much does that overlap? Are you going to be able to run a breezeway there, or is it basically we're talking like 2-3 feet, so it's just off, but not?
Yeah, it should. It'll run. I think the edge of the garage is going to run just about exactly in line with the edge of the house. We've got a bay window that juts out.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but basically with the house line, the inside garage line should line up almost right. Yeah. in
Right.
line.
So the idea is probably not to have you back out into your house, right? As you come out of that second car.
Yeah, we
right.
talked about that.
Yeah, that's probably a good detail.
Also a good reason to have it a little further to the left so that when there are teenage drivers, I don't
Yep.
want the porch.
Yes, it's a good detail. Jeff, I have a question for you. Is there any sort of requirements for spacing between an accessory building and a main building? Like, do they have to have, like, is 10 feet, it doesn't matter at all? Or is it just kind of a
No,
wide open?
if he built it like within 2 feet of it, you would
Oh,
have
yeah.
to just line that wall with 1/2-inch sheetrock of the garage that's facing the house.
Mhm.
If you come within I think it's 2 feet, 2 or 3 feet, state code requires you to just do that. And it's a pretty simple process. It's
Okay.
one layer of 1/2-inch sheetrock, and it's just kind of a fire break.
Right. Okay. So there's no implications of where he places the building on that location. Okay. Great. All right. Okay. All right. Anything else from any of the board members? All right. Let's go ahead and talk about a couple of things we have to talk about when we're looking at area variances. The thing with an area variance is basically this is the least restrictive of the variances that we work with on the ZBA. Okay. On a ZBA, we work with use variances, interpretations, and area variances. An area variance, we discuss the points, but even if something fails on our tests, we still make a final decision regardless, okay? So we're making a decision what we feel would happen, okay? What we're really doing is we're gonna discuss 4 separate points, and then if we feel like the benefit outweighs the costs, then we'd pass it. If we don't feel the benefit outweighs the cost, then we'd either modify or reject the appeal, okay? So that's kind of what we're looking at, okay? So basically one of the questions is basically, would this change create undesirable change in the neighborhood? It's going to negatively impact the neighborhood, okay? It's going from a 1-car garage to a 2-car garage, and the size that's required for a 2-car garage. You need a 14-foot sidewall in order to put garage doors in there. It's just the way it works with a 2-car garage. So does it create a detriment to neighborhood properties? What do you guys think? Any thoughts on that? Okay. All right. At this point, what we're going to do basically is let me be clear about what's going on now. At this point, I think the public hearing itself is done. Correct? Any other public comments on this parcel? No. All right. Excuse my clock. The public hearing is done. Now we're going to move into the public meeting. All right. So the board members will now discuss this. We'll talk about what we're doing, and we'll see if we can make a decision at this point and go from there. Okay. Clock is done. All right, so board members, does anyone feel like there's any sort of like negative impact to the neighborhood, or is a positive impact to the neighborhood, or is it kind of a moot point for the neighborhood?
It sounds to me like it's kind of neutral. It doesn't seem like anyone's going to be bothered by this, and the homeowners will just benefit from having the garage, and it's in their I don't see any issues at this point.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm getting echo off someone. Let's try that. The other question we ask basically is the benefit they're seeking. Correct me if I'm wrong, Troy and Suzanne. The benefit you're seeking here is you're trying to maximize your usable space behind your house, and you're trying to basically minimize dead space between a driveway and your building. Okay, so you're trying to basically, your lot is kind of trapezoidal, and it's kind of like the more you slide a building over, it gives you more usable backyard space. Okay, so the question we have to ask ourselves then, from a board's perspective, is the benefit they're seeking here, is there some other alternative to this variance? Is there something else that we can come up with that would solve the same problem? Don't all speak at once.
I'll just go, Conrad. I'm looking at the map here. The only alternative I would see would be move the garage further inland and further towards the center of the property, in which case the car would back into the house trying to get in around. I just don't, it doesn't seem feasible there. I don't see an easy alternative to the design they have proposed.
Okay. All right. No, that's kind of, if we don't have anything else, basically that's the key thing, right? Is like we're sliding over the property to get those two cars in there. And what would other options be? Double stack them in tandem into the garage. So it's a long, skinny garage. Doesn't sound like a fun time. So, hi, Debbie. Okay. All right. Is the requested variance substantial? Is it a substantial request? Is it a massive change? Are we really changing the parcel? Is it a big, basically are they asking for a very large request based on, is it a huge area variance? Are we asking for like building running lot lines? Are we, is it a minimal request? Okay. All right, good. Glad we're thinking about this. What about adverse impact on physical environmental conditions in the neighborhood? It's basically, we're coming back to the neighborhood. The building itself seems like it's relatively reasonable. It's going to change. What's a big change in the neighborhood? It's a much bigger building than what was there. There was a one-car garage that was tucked back behind the building, right? It's going to always run to. One second, sorry. So what is, it seems like the neighbors seem fine. It seems like a decent addition. It seems like the structure's good. What, Troy and Suzanne, are you guys going to draw it yourselves? Are you guys going to, go off a plan online? You're just going to wing it? Like, what are your thoughts on your look and feel?
Well, we got a neighbor right across the street who's got a 24 by 32 foot garage that we've surveyed in the past. His roof line is going to run opposite of ours, so there'll be changes. The builder, a former teacher in Madrid that I know who has extensive building experience, is going to help construct the frame. But there isn't going to be any elaborate design changes. You know, it's pretty straightforward. We don't have schematics drawn up, but we'll go through.
No, I didn't think so. But you aren't trying to change the style. I assume that you're going to try to stylistically match what's in the neighborhood or what's on your house to some degree. Yeah. Right. You're not going to put up a Victorian barn behind your mid-century house. So, okay. Cool. All right, what else we got on this? We have basically, this is the toughest one. Basically, is this difficulty that's here, was this self-created? Okay. Was the request for the variance, was it something that could have been avoided if the applicants had just, did they create this issue? Okay. And this is the sticky point on area variances. So is there some way that basically, that we can get around it? We can do it differently. I mean, the option is basically you slide it so it's 10 feet off the property line, wherever the property line is, okay? So if we say no to this, then basically it's sliding 10 feet over. If we say yes to it, it's sliding somewhere in that 7-foot range so it lines up so they can get in and out of their garage, correct? I mean, that's kind of, it's maximizing backyard, but also it has to do with backing a car in and out of this garage in this parcel. Any thoughts? You wave, chime in. Debbie, are you speaking?
Hold on. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Okay.
Bring it.
The thing about, do I think that they created this problem? No, I do not. I mean, it's been there for a number of years. And basically, I feel if there's any way that we can possibly make it work. I mean, things change. You had mentioned one garage in front of the other. There's a few homes in Canton that have that. If you want to play musical cars, then that's then that's different. I mean, it was no fun to the sellers at that time, and I'm sure it's not going to be any fun to them. So, if there's any way we can possibly work and make this happen for them. I know that I sold that house. I think it's right next door to them, and the lot is like a piece of pizza. And we went through it when I sold the house, trying to figure out how could they get a garage in, and the only place they could put it was in the backyard, and then the backyard was gone. So, I mean, what are we talking about? 3 feet?
Anywhere from, basically, we're talking 3 feet.
Yeah, okay.
3 to 7
All right, well,
feet.
that's basically
really.
my feeling, so.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about. Basically, we just have to do this. We have to go through this stuff to make sure we talk about it, make sure it's clear, and make sure that we're all on the same page. But yeah, we're talking anywhere from 3 feet to 7 feet. Yeah. That's kind of because that's what Troy and Suzanne said. They said that it's somewhere about 5-6 feet off the line, but they asked for 3 feet just to give them that that legal.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Awesome. All right. So when we look at that, when we look at those key points, basically we're talking about the variance. Now, it sounds like from what people have said that people are pretty comfortable giving a variance in this case. Now, are people comfortable giving? Let's talk about this. Do we want to give a full to a 3-foot variance? Do we want to say it has to be 5 feet? Where are we comfortable with that clearance between that, basically the parking lot that Greg Howe is using for the apartments and the side of that building? Okay. I mean, are we fine with 3 feet? I mean, Yep. 1 second, Debbie. I'll unmute you. Oh. Okay, go ahead, Debbie. Yeah.
Okay. My apologies for coming in late. Like I said, I was sitting on the grievance board, and so I kind of missed, what is Greg Howe? What's his thoughts? What's his feelings?
Yeah, he said basically, he said, I don't do Zoom. And so they said, he told Jeff, he said, Jeff, I have no problem on the building that structure there.
Okay.
So he was all on board with it. He said, basically it's right after, and I talked to Troy and Suzanne about where the snow goes and what's right there. It's pull-in parking right next to that parcel.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be an impact to the structure itself from headlights or anything like that. It shouldn't be an impact to the cars themselves for the structure. And it sounds like for snow removal, they do some scrape back, they do some right off the edge there, but it doesn't sound like it didn't hit their structure before, which was probably about 8 to 10 feet off the line. Is that right? I'm getting head nods. Yeah. So, they're not worried about the snow push hitting their garage, which would be one of my concerns about that sort of offset there.
Right.
But yeah, so Greg was all on board with it. He was
okay.
He was
Great.
fine. So yeah. Yeah. Andy, Caitlin, Sally, or Mike, what do you guys think? Anything else do we want to run with?
The only thing I would say, from my perspective, the fact that Greg Howe is comfortable with it and that it's a parking lot next to it, not a residential structure next door. It's a commercial structure. I don't see, and the fact I don't see other options, it seems fine to me.
Okay, great. Yeah, Caitlin, go ahead. Caitlin.
Can you hear me? Am I talking?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, okay, sorry. Everyone's nodding and I'm just picking up. No, overall, I don't see a problem with any of it, just granting the whole thing. It's a difference between a couple of feet, I think, and
okay.
It just seems like everyone's for it and there's no reason not to move forward.
Okay, all right, great. Let's go to Sally next.
Hear me?
Yep.
Okay. No, I have no problem with allowing it. So actually, I think it'll be an improvement and it'll be great for Troy and Suzanne to be able to have that garage, especially in the wintertime. So I see no problem with moving the garage.
Great. Okay. All right, Mike. One second. I can't hear you yet. Short pause. Between the moderator and myself, we're gonna get this figured out eventually in terms of unmuting you.
I'm actually not able to unmute him.
No, you can't speak, Mike. No speaking for you. Give me can you do the reaction, thumbs up, thumbs down on the there you go. All right. All right. Mike's pretty happy with what's going on there. All right. All right. So does anyone else have anything else to add at this point? No? All right. So basically we have the ZBA is going to go ahead and we feel that the benefit does outweigh the detriment to the neighborhood. So we're going to go ahead and allow this variance. It sounds like the ZBA is going to go ahead and allow it at the 3-foot offset. If you're greater than that, that's great. If you're not, you have 3 feet. I would appreciate from the ZBA's perspective since it sounds like you're not going to have that lot surveyed, is to make sure you're clearly outside that 3 feet from that where you think that lot line would be. So we don't get any issues down the road in terms of a questionable lot line and edge of that parcel, edge of that building. That's my only, please just watch that. But go ahead and I will go ahead and write this up and get the decision out. And then once the decision goes to Jeff, that'll be within 2 days, then he can go ahead and work through the next steps with you guys in terms of where things are going with your application, okay? But at this point, basically, the ZBA feels that the benefits outweigh any sort of detrimental cost on this to the neighborhood. We feel that this is an improvement in the structure itself. It allows for a two-car garage, and it allows your teenagers, when they are teenagers, not to back into your house, which is always a good thing. We'll go from there. Great. All righty. Any questions? All right, so that closes our meeting for today in terms of the variance, the area variance for 55 Judson. As I mentioned in the beginning, the use variance on 30 Minor Street was pulled, and we are not going to hold that meeting today. So the 30 Minor Street was all done, and if the applicant decides to resubmit, then we will deal with that when that happens, and we are good from there. And Jenny, can you wait online for 1 second after the end of the meeting, please? That'd be great. Otherwise, we're all set. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.
Thank you, Conrad.
Welcome.
Conrad, you good with everybody else being gone?
Yeah, go ahead and take everyone else off except for Jenny and myself.
Yep, doing it.
Thank you. Great.
Okay, it is just you two. I am going to, I'm afraid if I end,
Yeah, don't end. Just take your earbuds out and hang out for a second. We're just gonna, I just want to touch base. That's all.
Absolutely.
my earbuds are out.
All right, awesome. Not much. So I will go ahead, and the next steps is I'll write up my decision. Basically, I have a decision form that I use, and then we just have to file it. It goes to Jeff, and I think it goes in Jeff's files and stuff, things like that. I'm not really sure what the process is on that side, but it's kind of like I have a document that I've been using. I pulled it off. To be honest, I pulled it off online somewhere.
Yeah.
Right, to be honest, yeah. And so I'll write things up, and I send that to you. When you get the minutes, if you want to send them over to me.
Yep, absolutely.
Just take a look. There's no rush on it because it's a pretty straightforward decision in this case.
Right. I only had, I think, a couple quick questions. I usually have the minutes done within a couple of days. It shouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
But I'll go through the recording, make sure everything makes sense, type up all the minutes, get them to you first. And
Okay.
then what I usually do is once you've approved them, and I usually copy Jeff on it too, just so he can see them. And once you guys are comfortable with them, I let you send it to the committee, but I post it to the website with
Exactly.
a draft note across it. And then once the next meeting approves the minutes, if you want to do that, I don't think we need to.
We don't tend to.
Okay.
Just because we're such an ad hoc meeting. I mean, we're only when we're asked to meet. And because we made a decision tonight, we're not going to meet again on this thing. This one is gone. I mean, sometimes there's been a few situations where we've had multiple meetings about certain things. Like we've had the public hearing, then we had a meeting, and then we would have the minutes that we want to, verify. But in this case, it's kind of like, basically people think that, they want to build it. All right, go on.
Right.
So-
Okay, cool. No problem. Yeah, well, so I'll get them out to you. Once you're cool with them, I will post them on the website as part of the public
All right. Perfect.
record.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think. We didn't have like a motion or anything, which is different for me, but did you really need one? I don't know if you're supposed to have one.
Oh, motion for the voting? No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That is different. Let's see here. I don't think I needed one because it's, I had a whole bunch of ayes. Yeah, I didn't basically, they were all
Right,
fine.
okay.
What I'll do is I'll send out, when I write up the findings, I'll send it off to my board. My board will make sure that it's all there.
Okay,
So,
cool.
And if you record in terms of who is saying, yeah, just do it. I don't think Andy would have been considered the alternate in this case.
Okay.
So he wasn't really a voting member in this case. However, because he was there for half the meeting when Debbie hadn't made it in yet.
Right. Okay.
So, but I I didn't worry about the technicalities in terms of voting yes or no in this case because it wasn't sounding contentious.
Right,
didn't-
exactly.
I didn't need,
Yeah.
if
Nope.
we're gonna avoid those things, we avoid them. So,
Okay.
alrighty.
All right, I'll get that all out to you. It should, like I said, it'll only be a couple of days.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am too. So it's great.
All right,
Awesome.
great.
All right. Thanks, Jane. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Take care.
You too. Bye now.
Bye.